All right, Devils, how we doing today? Sam here with you on, what are we, Tuesday, July 24th here, kind of late morning. Now, being a Tuesday here, we alternate, so we're looking at traditional assets today. What we do here on these days is we poll our members and let them decide what they'd like to see reviewed, and I have two winners today. First up, I've got the TQQQ, which is the ProShares UltraPro QQQ. All right, so there you go. That's a mouthful. All right, so here, now we've looked at this previously, so I have some work already here, and I'm working from this February 9th of 2016 low, and we can see a really nice, really clear Elliott count is in play here as we are trending higher. So all of this area here, so just at first glance, it's not terribly difficult to look at this action all here and say, well, that's very characteristic of a fourth wave. And we had a very simple ABC down here for the second. We've got a little more complexity here. So just at first glance here, just in bringing this up, your eye likely drawn to this 1, 2, 3, some sort of 4 is in here, and we're going up to put in the 5. So again, now we've looked at this before, and I've got all the subdivision here for you, so it's fairly straightforward. So here, 1, 2, and now we need 5 in our third to give us an impulse, and you can see we've got nice 1, 2 here, 3. Here's our little ABC. Down we go for the 4, and then we've got all the subdivision here along the way for the 5th of the third here. Now here's where it gets a little tricky. So I am actually showing this as an expanded flat. So let me show you why I'm looking at that. So let me tighten this up here. So I've got my little subdivisions all tight for you here. So this is what I have as our wave 3 high. Then we rip down here, we get our A wave here, and then we get this 3-wave structure here that takes us into what I propose is the B wave here, going beyond this pivot here. So we have an expanded flat, a B wave here that's gone past this pivot here, and then we rip down in 7. Well, so a couple of reasons to consider this. So just eyeballing that, do you want to guess what I'm about to show you there? So from this swing low here, so I'm just grabbing my A low here, and you can see this little pivot that we get right here. So as I go into it, so here's the classic algo trade, right? It's right by the book. So we get a slight front run on the 50, and we go to target to the tick, and then here's always the tell. What's the reaction at the target? That's what you call a reaction. So we know clearly that's an algo play in there. All right, so they front run the 50, they get their target, and then there's just a lack of buying. So we get the sell-off here, which gives us our C. So given that, I've got this labeled, so let me fill it out here. So I would label this as an A, B into a C here of an expanded B wave. Let's change that color here. We go up for our B and then down for our C here, giving us the 4th here. So C is not lower than the A wave here. It's not terribly unusual here given the expanded B wave here, but so allowing for that as our 4. All right, so if we back up and say, well, how would that play? Well, actually, I've got this in log scale. I can take it out as it won't matter at this point here. So if this is our 3 and I have this labeled correctly, we can, just as we would with any count here, we'd grab our 2 to our 3 high. Check it out here. So note here we come right to the 233, so right to the Vegas wave. So here's our 38. That's where we'd be looking for it, between the 38. Well, really, stronger the market here, anywhere from the 23 to the 38 is high probability in a strong market here. We can see them go as deep as the 50. I mean, they can go deeper than that, but the fact that we come down here and we double bottom here into the 38 after this expanded B wave gives me a good degree of confidence here that I have my 4 in, and then after that we've gone into a nice, well, in this case we've got an impulse underway here for our 5th wave here. Now, so we've got an algo target up here. So from that, taking the length of my 3rd wave, bouncing here at the 38.2, it would appear that I've got some targets up here that I can work with. So from this 4, I get a nice 1, 2, 3, 4. We do not overlap the 1, so I've got a nice impulse underway. Now, given that I've got this little spot up here, so let's let's grab this here, and we're just looking for some confluence. So I'm taking the same thing here. I'm taking the length of my third. Actually, it looks like I might be right here. So it looks like, God, I may have another expanded flat there. So it looks like I may have A, B, C. I have to dig into that. But I think what we may have is the same thing here. So we've got our third in here. So I go 1, 2, A, B, takes out that little pivot, A, B, down for the C. Once again, right to the 38. We get a few pivots through it, but we hold the wave 1 high, and then we've gone up. Now from here, we've just, well, that's close enough to consider that a front run on that target. Now, would I call that the top, the fifth of the fifth of the fifth? Not, no, I wouldn't go there yet, although it certainly may well be. So let's just back up here. So I've got a fairly fat group of targets up here. That's a little fat. That's from, we'll call it 68 to 71. Yeah, let's see if we can dig down a little bit more. So with this established here, I'm going to pull this off and just clean up the chart. Now we'll go. We can go down to the 1 hour. Let's see how this looks here. So. See, the reason I think I've got this again here is because of this 5-wave structure. So if it looks to me like I've got A, B, C coming down here again. Let me move this out of the way. So it looks like I've got that again to allow for this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in my C. So it looks like I've got yet another expanded flat, which is, you know, it's often what you'll see is if you spot it somewhere else in the chart, often you'll see it repeating. And so as we see it here. So the fact that I'm getting it again here, it doesn't shock me terribly. Now we've come from this pivot here. All right, so if this is, let's go up a degree here. Let's get this so we can see it a little better. All right, so if this is 1, 2, 3, A, B, C down for my 4, looking fairly good there. Well, now here I can get again. Yeah, so it's, guys, same thing, right? So the assumption is if we've got a good Elliott count in play, there's no reason to assume it won't continue. So this looks like I could have 1, 2, well, it looks like that 3, 4, 5 up here somewhere. This is a little ugly. Now, it's always a little more difficult when you go to an asset like this where you have all of the gaps that you have to deal with from day to day. But yet, we still have this. We can still see the count clearly enough. So it looks like I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and we'll see if we can build up some more confluence up here relative to this last leg that we're in. So I'm just as I did with the others, I'm going to take the length of my third wave. Here's my 4, so potentially here, just implying strength in the market, we get between the 23.6 and the 38.2. Now I'm getting a little bit more confluence up here, so I'm tightening this down a little bit. So is this the front run on the fifth here? Certainly could be. Can't say for sure until we see more depth in that retracement. So let's pull this out here, see if there's anything else. So if as I look, so I've got my 2, I've got my 1, 2, come here. So I've got my 1 in, 2 in, 3, A, B, C down for my 4, and we're trying to get this 5. Oh, you know, of course, I'm going to get a pitchfork on it, see if there's any market geometry here that can be useful to us. Now I've got a modified shift here. Let's go back to, let's go to original to start, see what that looks like. So we're too far. So, well, of course, here we get our corner pocket, right? So here's the best odds in trading. So we get our, as long as these 3 pivots hold, 80% probability, 80% of making the median line. We hit it here, retrace, and then get it again. So this did fairly well if you were a buyer here. This looks like that's likely a 6-8. Let's just see here if we get golden zone on this. Oh, subtle break. So it looks like we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 going in for the 5 of 3 here. A, B, C, down we go. This is not helping me enough here, so I would, oh, let's go to shift and see if we pick up anything there. Yeah, it's too far beyond it, so I'd go back to original, and we'll look here, we'll slide it over. This is what I would do next. So now I'd go from my 2, and just start checking some of these pivots, see if I get any help here on this. All right, so that's kind of interesting. So as I work from my 2, let's get this out of here. So we've already got 1 corner pocket. Now we got to tighten this up. So always it's a little bit of a pain in the ass. But as you move through different time frames, particularly on an asset like this, you're going to have to tighten up these pivots because you need them right on there. So let's get this tightened up here. So we'll get it down. There we go. Let's bring this over. There's our 3. We'll pull it back out. I'll be looking down here. So last one. Zoom in here. There's that. There's our 4. We zoom back out. Okay, now we're looking good. So here, from my 2 to my 3, we come down here. I get the corner pocket again. Right? As long as these 3 pivots hold, we've got 80% odds of making the median line. Just miss it here, but we get it here and get it again here. Now could this be the front run on the target as we tap the median line yet again? Certainly possible. We're not going to know until we see what kind of retracement we get. So pulling this aside here just to clean up the chart. If this is what we've got, if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, what else can we do? We can check for some common fib relationships. So I can take the length of my 1 projected from my 4 as I pull it over here. Well, here's 100. So that's a common target here. We've just tapped that, retraced, and had another push. So next spot you'd look for is the 1272, and then you can see here I have the 1618 marked up here as a candidate. If this is going to get legs and go again as we work through all of the tech earnings, there's a very real possibility this has another push up to get that 5th and come into alignment with this upper parallel here. So I would not be surprised if we're just in the 1, 2 of the 5th of the 5th of the 5th. So, but all of that implying that we're approaching some sort of meaningful top. It would appear from the Elliott count that we're running out of waves. So at some point we've got to pull this back here. Now let's go back to our daily and see, well, what would that mean? Well, if we were going to retrace the entire thing, so if I just go back up here and say we get our best case, we get the 1618 up here. Without some sort of a meaningful retracement, well, we'd be looking for a wave 2 off of that 5. So if I go up to that 1618 and just make the assumption, now I'm hypothetical here, I do not know what's coming, but that, or whether or not we're going to pivot here. But if you think about what would be likely there, we'd be looking for a retrace back to the 50, anywhere from the 50 to 618. That's your prime zone for your 2. Commonly, you'll come back to a prior 3, 4. So anywhere in this zone is where the next big opportunity should be to be a buyer. So I would not be chasing this up here. All right, if you're not in already, you're very late to the party as we approach what may be a significant top up here. Then it's just a matter of waiting for the retracement. Now, given an asset like this, easy enough to short it. So, of course, we're not looking for a straight move down. We'd be looking for that to move and give us the subdivision that we'd expect to see in some sort of an ABC. I can get rid of that. So let's put this something more like this. Maybe we go higher for the B wave. So plenty of opportunity here to catch this on the short side if indeed this is where we're headed. If we're going to put in a significant top up here, should be an opportunity. Now, so I certainly wouldn't try and pick the top here. All right, that's just a fool's errand. So what I would do, though, if we get 5 coming down here, I would certainly look at selling the B wave. So we let that establish, wait for the reaction, get that. Now maybe our B wave comes right golden zone and we get down here, maybe second target is what we're looking for here. So there's a potential roadmap on the assumption that and granted I'm making an assumption here that we're headed towards a significant pivot up here to complete this 5-wave structure and then just looking for the play on the way down. All right, so let the A wave establish, wait for the retrace, take the B to the C. From the B down towards the C, you know you've got a target down here, and at that point, then we're looking to reload for the long side, looking for that. All right, guys, that's a pretty easy one. Not terribly complicated, pretty easy to spot the wave count. The expanded Bs are a little tricky, but that's something to get used to. You see them quite often. All right, so I guess that'll be a wrap. I'll be back. I'm going to look at the Euro USD as well. All right, don't forget to follow us on Twitter. You want to participate in some of the polling that we do when we ask our Twitter followers what more they'd like from us in terms of whether it's assets being analyzed or just in general what you'd like to see from us, how we can best help you. If you're interested in more of our services, you can always visit our website. That's tradedevils.com. Right, and if you look underneath this video, you'll find a contest that we're offering where we are offering up free memberships to our members Discord. First price is 2 months, second price is 1 month, and third price is 2 weeks. It's a random drawing. All you got to do is enter, then share, like, post, tweet, all that. Every time you do one of those things, you get another entry. It's a random drawing, so the more entries, the better for you. All right, guys, that'll wrap it here. We'll be back to you shortly.